It's midnight and you're tuning into Nightline with me, Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. The top stories. Government announces additional 100 million ringgit allocation for Felda. And Trump survives assassination attempt. Good morning. Former US President Donald Trump called on the United States on Sunday to stand united after surviving an assassination attempt at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. In a social media post, Trump said it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. He also paid tribute to the victims of the shooting, writing that his love goes out to the other victims and their families. The former president continued, saying it is now more important than ever that the country stand united and show the true character of Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. With the Republican National Convention set to begin in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on Monday, Trump said he was looking forward to speaking to the great nation as he received the Republicans' official nomination for the presidential election for a third time. Earlier, the assassination attempt on Trump at the political rally saw a barrage of gunfire set off panic, and a bloodied Trump was surrounded by Secret Service and hurried to his SUV as he pumped his fist in a show of defiance.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Trump's campaign said the presumptive GOP nominee was doing fine after the shooting, which he said pierced the upper part of his right ear. It was reported that one attendee was killed and 2 spectators were critically injured. Meanwhile, the FBI early on Sunday identified the shooter as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. According to the Secret Service, their agents fatally shot Crooks, who was a registered Republican, after he launched his attack from an elevated position outside the rally venue. The agency also said the investigation remains active and ongoing. After the attempted assassination, US President Joe Biden condemned the Sikh attack on his rival, as news of the attempt on Trump's life sent shockwaves through US political circles. In a written statement from the White House, the president said he was grateful to hear that Trump was safe and doing well. It added that Biden was praying for Trump, his family, and those who were at the rally. Meanwhile, presidents and prime ministers across the world have also expressed their support for Trump and spoken out against political violence. In a statement on social media, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was among the first leaders to express shock and send messages of support to Trump. He said political violence in any form has no place in the societies and that his thoughts are with all the victims of the attack. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called the incident concerning and confronting, as he also expressed relief that Trump had survived. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he was appalled to learn about the shooting, adding that such violence has no justification and no place anywhere in the world. Taiwanese President William Lai Ching-te said his thoughts and prayers were with Trump and wished the former president a swift recovery. Back home, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has condemned the shooting on Trump during the start of a campaign rally in Pennsylvania on Sunday. Anwar said he hoped the situation was under control, adding that violence is not the solution in any situation.
Cara ini bukanlah penyelesaian dan oleh demikian kita lahirkan simpati kepada Donald Trump dan mengharapkan keadaan terkawal.
On another matter, Anwar has announced an additional allocation of 100 million ringgit for Felda to cover operating costs due to the targeted diesel subsidy. The Prime Minister said that the assistance is meant for targeted groups in need, including smallholders.
Buding, mana kelemahannya? Oh, dah bagi. Saya luluskan 1 juta. Jawab lagi, ada lagi. Katanya. Yang tak daftar bagaimana? Okey, hari ini saya putuskan daftar dengan Felda. Dan kita cari jalan bantu mereka. Dan kalau perlu 20 juta lagi, tambahan. Saya luluskan, tak ada masalah.
He said this when officiating the Felda Settlers Day 2024 celebration in Serdang on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also announced that the government has approved an allocation of 31.7 million ringgit for 317 Felda settlements under the Sejahtera Community Madani or Sejati Madani. He said through the allocation, each Felda settlement will receive 100,000 ringgit to implement an additional economic project. He also emphasized the need to explore new methods to elevate Felda to a higher level, especially involving the younger generation and women, in order to enhance Felda's standing. In the meantime, the Prime Minister gave stern warning to Felda to avoid any misconduct, adding that anyone found guilty will face action.
Kalau dulu tender masing-masing, nak kira anak, nak kira menantu, nak kira isteri, nak kira kroni. Sekarang kalau tender, semua tender kerajaan, dan saya percaya harus di Felda juga, dan FGV juga, dan koperasi, biar betul-betul terus supaya jangan ada usaha menyangkau wang rakyat dan wang penduduk.
Anwar said the Auditor General should also take similar action against Felda if its management is found to be involved in the misuse of public funds.
Diving deep into the business world.
With expert insights and in-depth analysis.
The latest trends and developments shaping the country, region and the globe.
Key insights into finance.
On Money Matters.
Every Saturday at 5 p.m.
on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Umno President Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi is open to the prospect of the President and Deputy President's posts being contested at the next party elections in 2026. However, he said he will leave it to the party's General Assembly next month and the Umno Supreme Council to decide on the matter.
Saya amat terbuka dalam perkara ini. Yang penting UMNO itu harus terus dipertahankan, UMNO harus terus relevan.
Zahid told the media that he will ensure that the decision taken is in line with the party constitution after officiating the Muar UMNO division meeting on Sunday. In addition, Zahid wants UMNO to focus on restoring the people's trust in the party. In the meantime, UMNO leaders have been reminded to stop the culture of fighting for party positions as it negatively affects the people. UMNO Vice President Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said internal conflicts among leaders have become a syndrome that could weaken the party.
Sebab itu saya tekankan di kalangan pemimpin-pemimpin UMNO di peringkat, semua peringkat, sama ada di peringkat bahagian, cawangan dan juga di negeri, kita mesti memastikan bahawa kita melihat balik kelemahan kita, terutama di antara pemimpin dengan pemimpin yang sentiasa bertelaga dan akhirnya orang melihat kita ni orang penyampah.
He said this when officiating the Masjid Tanah UMNO division meeting on Sunday. Also present was Malacca Chief Minister and UMNO State Liaison Chairman Datuk Seri Abdul Rauf Yusof. Johari, who is also Plantation and Commodities Minister, said UMNO leaders and members need to learn from the party's long history, which was once the backbone of the country's independence. He also urged UMNO leaders and members to engage in self-reflection by examining their own weaknesses instead of pointing the blame at others. Meanwhile, commenting on the upcoming Nenggiri state by-election slated for August 17th, Johari said that UMNO and Barisan Nasional will be fielding a young candidate.
Kita dah tekankan muda, kan? Tapi kalau muda dia mesti ada on the ground. Kalau dia tak on the ground pun tak boleh. Dia tak boleh muda datang daripada langit. Muda kena datang daripada ground.
Coming up, Hamas withdraws from ceasefire truce talks. These and more from the foreign front when we return.
Unexpected. Hilarious lah, I would say.
Sangat santai.
Wow.
Tanya,
ternyata Saka Perawan ni lain dapat lain.
Classic horror comedy. You know, nowadays we don't have these kind of movies anymore.
Kemunculan selebriti yang legend.
Saya suka semua scene yang Bazli. Laju dia buat kerja.
Something yang ditunggu-tunggu di hujung.
9/10.
Solid 8 out of 10. Saya bagi 8.
Saya bagi 8.
8.
Nelayan dulu, dia tak gunakan payau macam generasi yang sekarang ni. Kita terus ke lokasi itu, ikan dah ada. Inilah yang kita cari.
Kalau kita tengok sedekat rambut mata kita tak selam, dia kadang dia menyerupai batu. Macam timah ni pun takut besar kan? Beza dengan kerang biasa.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Malaysia strongly condemns the Israeli airstrike on the Al-Mawasi refugee camp on Saturday, which claimed numerous innocent lives, including women and children. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim described Israelis' ongoing attacks as acts of barbarism due to the failure of major countries to uphold human rights.
Malaysia mengutuk keras serangan ganas Israel ke atas penduduk, wanita, orang awam, kanak-kanak di Gaza. Kebiadaban ini diteruskan kerana kegagalan negara-negara besar mempertahankan kemanusiaan dan hak. Jadi oleh itu, kerajaan Malaysia sekali lagi tegaskan pendirian kita keras mengutuk kezaliman berterusan tanpa peri kemanusiaan oleh rejim Zionis Israel.
Meanwhile, Wisma Putra, in a statement on Sunday, said that this heinous attack carried out in an area designated by Israel as a safe zone for Palestinians shows a flagrant disregard for human life. Calling it a heinous and appalling attack, Wisma Putra said Malaysia stands in unwavering solidarity with the people of Palestine and unequivocally denounces the continued aggression and brutality perpetrated by the Israeli regime. It said the relentless violence also contravenes United Nations Security Council resolution, which calls for an immediate cessation of hostilities, the protection of civilians, and unfettered humanitarian access in Gaza. The Foreign Ministry also called on the international community to take immediate and decisive actions to end the Israeli regime's egregious violations and hold its leaders accountable for crimes against humanity. Earlier, a senior Hamas official on Sunday said the group has withdrawn from talks on a ceasefire in the Gaza war because of Zionist massacres and Israel's attitude in the negotiations. Its political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, told international mediators, Qatar and Egypt, that the talks on a ceasefire plan would now end. He said the halt of the negotiations was due to the occupation's lack of seriousness, continued policy of procrastination and obstruction, as well as the ongoing massacres against unarmed civilians. The announcement was made after Israel's huge bomb attack on the Al-Mawasi refugee camp on Saturday that targeted Hamas commander Muhammed. Hamas, however, without confirming that Deif was at the camp, said he was alive and working. According to Gaza's health ministry, the deadly attack left 92 dead and dozens more injured. Now, hopes of France's left-wing bloc finding a consensus candidate to lead the country's next government have dwindled as the best-placed contender dropped out on Sunday. Several days of wrangling within the loose coalition produced very little until the emergence of 73-year-old Huguet Bello, a former communist MP and currently the president of the Regional Council in France's overseas territory, La Réunion, as a possible consensus candidate. Bello quickly got the backing of LFI, Communists and the Greens. However, they could not bring on board the centre-left Socialists, who have continued to back their party leader, Olivier Faure, for the job. In the face of Socialist resistance, Bello announced that she would now withdraw from the race. In a statement, she said there was no consensus on her candidacy among all members of the NFP, notably the Socialists. Bello's withdrawal sends the left-wing alliance back to the drawing board. In the Philippines, at least one person was killed while two others remain missing after flooding hit the southern parts of the country over the weekend. According to the local National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, the lone fatality was due to drowning. Officials reported that the two missing people were swept away by a strong current while crossing a river in Bukidnon province. The floods have affected nearly 39,000 people in 4 regions, with around 10,000 displaced villagers taking shelter in evacuation centres while waiting for the floodwaters to subside. Meanwhile, at least 8 landslides triggered by incessant rains were recorded in the Davao region and Zamboanga Peninsula. American actress Shannon Doherty, known for her roles in the popular series Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed, has passed away on Sunday. She was 53. Doherty's publicist confirmed the actress's passing, stating that she lost her battle with cancer after many years of fighting the disease. Previously, she had been public about her battle with breast cancer, disclosing in 2015 that she was undergoing treatment for the disease. In 2020, Doherty announced that the cancer had returned, spread and had reached stage 4. 3 years later, she had a brain tumor removed and revealed that the cancer had spread to her bones. KL City stuns Selangor in Klang Valley Derby. Sports after this breather.
Kehilangan tak diduga.
Saya tak tahu sebenarnya yang dia pergi keluar tu cari siput. Bila masuk malam, adik saya beritahu saya dalam pukul 8.30 itu, abah saya ni tak balik lagi.
Misi menjejaki mangsa diteruskan.
Sedih tu ialah saya sebagai anak. Ayah kita yang selalu ada dengan kita ni dah hampir 2 minggu tak balik ke rumah.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Satu dunia ingin tahu apakah sebenarnya berlaku.
Bukan siasatan jenayah terhadap Nahas yang berlaku 17 Julai lalu.
Rupa-rupanya buk tu jahat. Dia boleh naik sampai 40,000 kaki.
Ada 4 orang yang disyaki kes ni dan telah didakwa di mahkamah.
Nelayan dulu, dia tak gunakan payau macam generasi yang sekarang ni. Kita terus ke lokasi itu, ikan dah ada. Inilah yang kita cari.
Kalau kita tengok sedekat rambut mata kita tak selam, dia kadang dia menyerupai batu. Macam timah ni pun orang takut sebab besar kan? Beza dengan kerang biasa.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports. Football, the Super League. Kuala Lumpur City FC upset Selangor FC 1-0 in the Klang Valley Derby at the Cheras Football Stadium in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday night. Despite the salary issues plaguing the City Boys, the side coached by Miroslav Kuljanak put up a spirited performance to get their second win of the season. After a goalless first half, Kuala Lumpur finally broke the deadlock in the 63rd minute when winger Yovan Motika slotted the ball between the legs of Selangor goalkeeper Samuel Somerville. With the win, Kuala Lumpur moved to fourth with 7 points from 4 matches, while Selangor remained second with 9 points from 5 matches. And still on football, the 2024 Copa America, Luis Suarez rescued Uruguay with an injury time equaliser before the South Americans defeated Canada 4-3 in a penalty shootout to win the third place on Sunday. In the first half, Rodrigo Bentancur swiveled and smashed home a knockdown from a corner to give Uruguay the lead in the 8th minute. However, Ismael Kone scored with an acrobatic scissor kick to level the scores 14 minutes later. Canada went ahead in the 80th minute when Jonathan David slotted home a rebound following a long-range effort by Kone. Uruguay equaled through all-time leading goal scorer Suarez, who timed his run perfectly in the 92nd minute and scored his 69th international goal to force a penalty shootout. In the shootout, Kone had a tame spot kick saved by Uruguay's Sergio Rochet, and Alfonso Davies hit the crossbar to give Uruguay victory. On to tennis, the 2024 Wimbledon Championships. Barbara Krejcikova beat Jasmine Paolini to clinch the crown for her second Grand Slam title, resisting the Italian to secure the victory on Saturday. In a tense final match, the Czech doubles specialist dominated the opening set and held off Paolini's spirited comeback in the third to clinch a 6-2, 2-6, 6-4 victory. The 28-year-old, who adds this trophy to her championship at the Roland Garros in 2021, was seeking to continue a tradition of Czech-born Wimbledon champions, including Markéta Vondrousová, who claimed the title last year. While there were tears of joy for Krejcikova, it was heartache for the popular Paolini, who lost a Roland Garros final a few weeks ago and was bidding to become the first Italian to win a Wimbledon singles title. And this just in, Carlos Alcaraz Garcia produced an utterly ruthless performance to dismantle Novak Djokovic 6-2, 6-2, 7-6 in a rematch of last year's Wimbledon final to successfully defend his title on Sunday. He got the job done in just 2 hours and 27 minutes to become the youngest man to complete the surface slam, winning majors on hard courts, grass and clay. With the win, Alcaraz now has 4 Grand Slam trophies with a perfect record in major finals after his 2 Wimbledon triumphs, his US Open victory in 2022 and his French Open win last month. The defeat meanwhile denied Djokovic a 25th Grand Slam title to surpass Margaret Court in the all-time list and also equal Roger Federer's haul of 8-man singles titles at Wimbledon. Cycling now, the 2024 Tour de France unstoppable Tadej Pogačar timed his attack to perfection and rode solo to victory on stage 14, beating his rival Jonas Vingegaard on Saturday. The yellow jersey holder attacked 4.5 kilometers from the finish after being led out by UAE Team Emirates teammate Adam Yates, who had attacked race leader Ben Healy. As Healy began to lose steam and Yates looked over his shoulder for Pogačar, who then picked up the pace and eventually crossed the line on his own to extend his lead comfortably. Pogačar's closest rivals, Vingegaard, gave valiant pursuit but had to settle for second place, while Remco Evenepoel finished third. The 25-year-old now leads Vingegaard in the general classification by 1 minute and 57 seconds, while Evenepoel is 2 minutes and 22 seconds behind. Married couple arrested for abusing their 2 children. The details after this short break.
Nelayan dulu, dia tak gunakan payau macam generasi yang sekarang ni. Kita terus ke lokasi itu, ikan dah ada. Inilah yang kita cari.
Kalau kita tengok sedekat rambut mata kita tak selam, dia kadang dia menyerupai batu. Macam timah ni pun orang takut sebab besar kan? Beza dengan kerang biasa.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
kehilangan tak diduga.
Saya tak tahu sebenarnya yang dia pergi keluar tu cari siput. Bila masuk malam, adik saya beritahu saya dalam pukul 8.30 itu, abang saya ni tak balik lagi.
Misi menjejaki mangsa diteruskan.
Sedih tu ialah saya sebagai anak. Ayah kita yang selalu ada dengan kita ni dah hampir 2 minggu tak balik ke rumah.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Menarik MHI minggu ini.
Makan ulam?
Tak.
Rugi. Kita bawakan kepelbagaian jenis ulam.
Benarkah masalah mental ni ada perkara mistik?
Penagihan dadah adalah penyakit. Perlu dirawat, bukan dipenjara.
Premium insurans perubatan semakin meningkat. Ketahui kaedah kopek untuk mengatasinya.
Dan istimewa persediaan istiadat pertabalan yang di-Pertuan Agong.
MHI setiap hari Isnin hingga Jumaat juga stream melalui Tonton.
Hanya di TV3.
Welcome back. In Terengganu, a married couple was remanded for 6 days starting Sunday on suspicions of abusing their 2 children. The couple was arrested at their home on Jalan Jalur Kubur in Kemaman on Saturday night following a public complaint. The 2 suspects, a 26-year-old woman and a 30-year-old man, are the children's biological mother and stepfather. The victims, a 6-year-old girl and her 7-year-old brother, were reported to have been abused at their home during the incident on Saturday afternoon. Kemaman Police Chief Superintendent Hanyan Ramlan said initial investigations revealed bite marks on the girl's hand. He also added that multiple signs of injuries were found on both victims. The 2 siblings were sent to Kemaman Hospital for treatment and will be handed over to the Social Welfare Department, JKM, for further action. In Johor, a night market vendor is facing 11 charges of raping and sexually assaulting a girl with disabilities between March and May last year. The accused pleaded not guilty after all charges were read in front of Judge Abu Bakar Manat at the Muar Sessions Court on Sunday. Lim Kim Tai, aged 47, faces 4 counts of rape and 7 counts of physical sexual assault towards the mentally disabled victim. The offences were alleged to have taken place at a house on Jalan Temenggung Ahmad Muar between March 8th and May 24th last year. For both offences, the accused is charged under the Penal Code and the Sexual Offences Against Children Act and may face up to 30 years imprisonment and whipping if found guilty. The Deputy Public Prosecutor did not offer bail over fears that the accused might arrest the victim, who is currently 8 months pregnant. The court also did not offer bail and the case will be adjourned until September 18th. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has obtained a remand extension on 4 people, including a married couple who are social media influencers, suspected of being involved in the misappropriation of public donations. The 3-day remand extension order was granted by Magistrate Siti Zahirah Zaidun at the Putrajaya Magistrates Court after the earlier remand order expired on Sunday. The MACC had arrested the 4 individuals on July 10th for their alleged involvement in misappropriation of public donations. Sources reveal that the suspects, 3 men and a woman aged in their 20s and 30s, were arrested between 6:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. when they appeared at the MACC headquarters for questioning. 2 of the suspects, who are a married couple, are believed to have been involved since 2020 in embezzling donations that were not channeled appropriately. The donations were estimated to total around 3 million ringgit, and the investigation is still in its early stages. 2 more suspects, who are operators of a donation collection platform, were also arrested for their suspected involvement. Meanwhile, MACC Investigation Division Senior Director Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hashim, when contacted, confirmed the extension of the remand period and said the case was being investigated under Section 23 of the MACC Act. And that wraps up this edition of Nightline. We leave you with visuals of the Olympic torch, fighter jets and rescue dogs joining France's Bastille Day parade as the country celebrates one of the key events of the French Revolution. With that, I'm Muhammed and Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and take care.